Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm dreading what I'm about to go do in about 30 minutes. I may have told you in an earlier video that I have gotten roped in to helping to coach my 7-year-old's fall ball baseball team. And that involves me throwing to the kids during batting practice. Well, I didn't realize how out of shape I was until the other day. I went to throw to them and threw to these kids for an hour and a half, and I literally felt like I was going to pass out. Now, at the time I was doing low carb, and so you basically don't have much energy when you do low carb. But it was brutal, but I survived, and I threw pretty darn good. It just wears you out. But that's okay. It's probably good for me. So that's what I'm headed to do after I put this video up for you guys. XRP Crypto Wolf sent me, I think, a couple of things. At this point, I feel like the XRP bears are even trying to shake out Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz, LOL. XRP community, don't worry, the bears couldn't break support at 24 cents in 2018. They couldn't break 24 cents the last time they tried. We should have a nice rebound at 24 cents. And I just got off the phone with my dad, and I was thinking about having him come on and tell you all. Many of you, you've gotten so frustrated in this bear market, and when days like today come along and they just kick the price on down further, and you just feel like, man, I just can't take anymore, you know. Well, my dad has a story from when I was a kid. My dad was a guy who, a lot like me, he's a guy that is willing to take risks. And understand, you young people out there especially, you will not make a lot of money if you're not willing to take risks. The occasional lucky story happens, but taking risks are what life is all about. Taking risks are what gets us up out of bed in the morning. It's what makes life interesting. Without risks, you would be bored and you'd be doing the daily grind. And this, and I talk to people like Mr. B about this all the time. You know, as crazy as this whole digital asset space and XRP community feels at times, isn't it making your life a lot more interesting? This has been a life changer. It's a very interesting thing that we're all involved in. And if you really understand what's going on and you understand that this is about to change the entire world, then it should excite you. You should not be depressed on days like today. But I was thinking about getting my dad on to tell you the story of when I was a kid, and I think he more or less gambled's probably the wrong word. It was in the stock market. He invested in a bank stock and literally put, I think it was almost his entire net worth on the line on one bank stock that he studied and got to the point where he believed in. And he went in, I believe he went a year or 2 years with this bank stock going down, down, down. And then finally, when it turned around, he doubled his net worth. But he had to have the gumption and the guts to go down with it, because he knew he had done the research and he knew that the numbers he was looking at were right. I think he even went and visited the bank. I think it was a bank. But anyway, I'll try to get him on to tell that story. So when I see this, and by the way, the Digital Asset Investor bought almost 1,000 XRP today on this dip. And so I always put my money where my mouth is. Every dip that I see in this market, I'm buying. If I have money availability, I'm buying it. Okay, next, XRP Crypto Wolf. This is interesting right here. Now, folks, I want to make this point too. If there is ever a dip that you need to buy, or that I did buy, but if there's ever a dip not to worry about, it's the dips before the one organization that is the representation of traditional finance and Wall Street getting into digital assets for the first time in history. This is the dip that you shouldn't be worried on. And the reason you shouldn't is because if anything is going to be a setup for what is known to be coming, this would be the setup. Bakkt's warehouse will begin offering secure storage of customers' Bitcoin on September the 6th to prepare for the launch of Bakkt's daily and monthly BTC futures when they launch on September 23rd. These contracts will enable physical delivery of Bitcoin along with custody. And this is a CoinDesk article you can go and check out. This is something to anticipate and be excited about. This is going to change the world right here. I don't care if it changes it a day or two leading up to it or changes it the day of. It's going to change it, period. Everything changes after this opens. Then we have Wall Street, and they are in, and they're in for the long run. These jokers spent, I think, over $400 million getting this ready. So I'm ready. All right, sorry if you can hear my throat. I woke up with a sore throat this morning. Now, and it's just, it's there. Joker, now, I'm not surprised that the Joker, this is the guy who's a trader, and he has a trading bot that's called Joker. He's called @KiaCrypto. You should follow him. He's one of the traders that I have found to be legit and to have made several great calls almost to the penny to me behind the scenes. Trading tip: in an uptrend, you buy important levels. You book benefit at the golden ratio 1.618. It is mathematics. For XRP, USD chart, and the most commonly used, I don't even know how you say this, Fibonacci levels are buy the dip. And again, folks, I am no trader. I'm not a chart guy. I just show you these things because many of you out there are, and you can identify with these things, but I dabble in reading some of these guys' things, and of all of them that I've seen, this guy has impressed me. And so I show you his things for your benefit. And remember, he told me July and August were kind of, a lot of times those were kind of boring months for traders, but September, I think, and he kind of disappeared for July and August, and I don't think that's a coincidence either. He's showing back up leading into September to talk to us a little bit. The bigger picture for BTC USD, see how accurate are these levels. BTC hit 3,000 levels and bounced back. The point is that even though BTC gets to $100, XRP hits 4 cents, doesn't change the bigger picture. Digital assets are the future, and we will get there. And so he's willing to throw you low numbers and high numbers, but this is the number that I think is pretty interesting. That he's saying this is a future possibility. I like it. Okay, William M. Lolly @WLolly3342. He sent me a really interesting video that I'm going to watch all the way through, but I went to where he showed me to go watch it. You got to see this video, folks. This is Bloomberg. That's the YouTube channel you can go to find it. It's called the People's Republic of the Future. Two things that I saw from the point that he showed. This guy went in a store. This is an American. He tries to pull out a Visa to pay for something, and they waved him off. He couldn't do it. They have QR codes over there in China, folks. Does that look familiar? China is ahead of the game on all this, and this is where it's all going. The other interesting thing that he did is he went and met with these guys in a bar in China. This guy right here tells a story about how he's crossing the street in China and he jaywalks. A facial recognition camera picked this guy up on facial recognition and then find him via WeChat, which he had on his phone, and immediately took the money out of WeChat on his phone. And he said that happened to him in China now. Makes me think China is way, way ahead of us in the United States. Something to think about. So go watch this. I'm going to watch it all the way through. I just watched from the point he showed. Okay, Donald Trump tweeted this out today. Our Federal Reserve cannot mentally keep up with the competition other countries. At the G7 in France, all of the other leaders were giddy about how low their interest costs have gone. Germany is actually getting paid to borrow money, 0 interest plus. No clue, Fed. So now the Federal Reserve and Donald Trump looks like they're getting in a fight now. They're about to be fighting with each other. And make no mistake, zero and negative interest rates are coming our way, folks. All right. Keith Taubman at Master My Budget. And if you hear someone screaming, by the way, in the background, that is my 7-year-old who I told that I was going to record a video and not to do any screaming. And I told his older brother not to do any fighting and all of that. And they can't even stop themselves for 2 or 10 minutes or whatever. It's pitiful. I know many of you listening to my voice have kids. Is it not so frustrating? They can't keep their hands off of each other. I thought that if I had 2 children that were 5 or so years apart, that maybe that they wouldn't fight. But these kids, they will make you want to climb walls, folks. And I know many of you out there listening to me are like cheering, yeah, mine are fight with each other all the time too. Golly. Okay, sorry for that aside. Keith Taubman sent me this. This is also a video you gotta watch. I'm in the process of watching it. This guy right, let me see if I can. This guy right here. This guy is I forgot his name, but anyway, he's an exiled Chinese billionaire, and he's telling people to be terrified of what's going on in China. And he's like a whistleblower. And he said they've tried to kill him several times and that they're after him. He says he's China's #1 enemy. He's in exile in the United States. You got to go watch this video from Real Vision Finance. I'm about to finish watching it now, but he's talking about how, and this whole video is about what's really going on in China. And I'm sure it'll relate to the trade wars and everything. Okay, PhD does tweets. Sent me this. Corey Johnson, he tweeted again. Details, sure. MoneyGram CFO Angela Lely, I would just say that we're expecting Ripple to influence Q4. Think about that. He's saying operating expenses, $149 million last quarter, will noticeably decrease as soon as the quarter starting in October. That's bold. XRP MGI. Now, listen to what I'm saying here. Remember the article where they said that Brad Garling, it was an article about Brad Garlinghouse, and it said Ripple was going to get aggressive about doing the kind of things they did with MoneyGram here. There are rumors that have been swirling the last week about Ripple making another purchase. Those rumors, I'm not gonna keep it going because I don't know if it's true, but if it comes true, there's some interesting things that are about to start happening, folks. Things that could change the game completely. They're on Twitter. If you want to go read about them, go on Twitter because people are naming names now. I'm not going to name it until I have a confirmation. Sergeant Obi-Wan at Sergeant Obi-Wan sent me this one. Great Gatsby is at it again. This is a really smart person. Listen to this. Do banks currently own XRP? In my opinion, yes. Held with either custody institutions or simply create a separate LLC. Purchase the XRP. Now, I want to mention something. Remember when Brad Combs talked about the pre-allocation theory? In that same video, he said PolySign. Remember, PolySign is a custody company. Remember, he said we can't find out anything about PolySign. It says, do banks currently own XRP? In my opinion, yes. Held with either custody institutions or simply create a separate LLC, purchase the XRP. That would be earmarks, okay? Custody institutions, it could be a PolySign. Send to timed out escrow, regs happen, release escrow, bank then shows it on their books. Never pay cap gains on it as they will use for utility. If U.S. Bank sends that XRP to JPY Bank and U.S. Bank keeps original client's fiat, JPY Bank receives the XRP. They exchange XRP for JPY. Again, no cap gains as it was at today's market value 10 seconds. Will be seen as a utility transaction. In my opinion, that's how regs will be drawn. A utility transaction, not a taxable event is the way I read that. Or if the S really hits the fan, they'll just offset their gains with the massive losses coming their way, LOL. So that's another interesting idea. Okay, now this, remember we showed this is from Mr. B on the MoneyGram stock. NBK came in and says, what you are witnessing are the embryonic stages of a new paradigm. A paradigm where the dead beat up companies in the market will realize that partnering with one of these new fintechs, Ripple, is the only way to bring new value to their struggling market. Boom. How do you like it? Heisenzerp at Heisenzerp sent me this from our buddy Johnny Lawrence. Sweep the leg. Any fancy game of Fudbuster on the XRP Classic, and I remember this. I played this as a kid many times on my Atari. I can't remember the name of the game, but I played it on my Atari. It was like I think they may have called it tennis or something at the time. Anyway, okay. I love this quote. If you don't come from a rich family, make sure a rich family comes from you. The digital asset investor plans on having a rich family that comes from me, my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and maybe great-great-grandchildren. I'll be like the people in my town, whose great-great-great-grandfathers owned lumber companies. I'm going to be that guy. That's the plan. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor will be like the 3 generations ago lumber company owner who made bukus, was in the right place at the right time. Thank you for listening.